Most people's portfolio websites completely suck, which literally hinders them from getting hired at companies, because the thing is, your portfolio website is your first impression that you give to the companies that you're applying to, and most people miss a massive opportunity to make a really good first impression by just putting in a little bit of effort to build a portfolio website that actually impresses and that is actually unique and better than what most people have. I know this for a fact. I know people who review people's applications, and literally if the first thing that they see is a bad portfolio website, it's immediately gonna give you a disadvantage, and it might even literally mean that they don't even look at the rest of your application. Maybe that's not fair, but that's just human nature. First impressions matter. But the problem is that as a beginner, you might not know how to build a good looking website. You might be like, well, I don't know how to design, and you might not know how to add cool custom features to your website using JavaScript. So that is why I am making this video today, because today I'm gonna show you a way that you can design, first of all, very professional looking websites without needing any design skills, while having the ability to add really cool custom JavaScript features to really make your portfolio website stand out. And I'm also going to show you a couple of examples on exactly how to do this. So usually when it comes to coding websites, there's like two options that you have. Number one, you can do it fully custom with custom code, but the downside is that it can be very difficult and cumbersome to like build custom CSS styling and like custom HTML to really actually make a website good, unless you're already really good at designing. And the second option is to use one of these website builders. You can use templates, things like this. But here, if you only use something like this, it can make your website look a bit cookie cutter, and it can make it look pretty clear that you just used one of these builders. So today we're actually testing out a tool that actually allows you to combine the benefits of both of these things. And that tool is called Wix Studio. Now, you might have heard of Wix before, and you might be like, well, that's just another website builder. This is not for programmers. But that is not what I'm talking about. What I'm talking about is Wix Studio. That is a developer first platform that is primed with everything that you need to develop and ship websites extremely quickly, while maintaining the full customizability of having custom code. And they have everything that you need out of the box, and you can let sort of the infrastructure side of like hosting the website, like all these kind of things, be taken care of by Wix Studio, while still having the ability to have full custom JavaScript on your website, including a full backend API. So you can literally have a backend for this website directly within Wix Studio as well. So we're gonna get started straight away, and you can either follow along or you can just sort of get ideas from this and then go and build your own thing using Wix Studio. So we're gonna start by clicking on start developing over here, and then if you don't have an account, it's gonna ask you to create an account and things like this. I already have an account because I have some projects here. So what I am going to do is go and click on new site here at the top, and then it's gonna ask if we're using Wix Headless or Wix Website. I actually used Wix Headless on a previous video that I made on this channel. It's essentially like a series of APIs and business solutions that allow you to like expand your own custom code website. So I highly recommend checking them out as well. A bunch of cool features there, or you can watch that other video on the channel. But for this one, we're gonna start with a Wix website right here, and then there's a couple of options. You can either start from a template, start from a blank canvas, or generate a site structure with AI. I'm just gonna take a look at the templates to see if there's anything good for a portfolio, and I think I like to look at this template over here. So we will click on edit over there and get started. So over here we now have our website, and what you have here are two things. You have this sort of drag and drop builder that you might be used to with a lot of these website builders, but that is not mainly what we're interested in. I'm just gonna add a couple of things here to make this look like my website. All right, this isn't the best starting point, but we'll just get started with this for the sake of this example. So in this video, I'm not gonna like fully build this out. I'm just gonna show you sort of the things that you can do within Wix Studio developer features. And the coolest thing that we're gonna start working on straight away is, rather than just using this Wix website builder, which you can use to build the front end, what's really cool is what we can start doing with JavaScript. And this is where we are really going to make this stand out. So we're gonna go over here on the left-hand side, and we're gonna click on code. And this is gonna tell me now about extend your site's functionality with code. So I'm gonna click on start coding, and this is where the magic is gonna start happening. So once this loads, we're gonna see some things here. So there's first of all page code. So all of these pages on this side from this template, I'm just gonna rename this to like home or something like that, are gonna have a JavaScript file that Wix Studio has generated for us. And you can sort of see the template for it down below here at the bottom. But to start editing these files, what we're going to do is click here on Code in Wix IDE. By the way, you don't have to use this web-based Wix IDE if you don't want to. You can even edit all of these files on whatever code editor you want, which is pretty cool. But we're just going to use this here for the sake of example. And once this loads, we can see right here what the files we have access to. So if we click on SRC, first of all, we have a couple of folders. We have backend, pages, public styles. What we're interested in first of all is these pages over here. So this is going to include all the JavaScript files for every single one of the pages on our Wix site. So to edit the home JavaScript file, we're going to click on this one right here. And to just show you that this actually works and to make sure that it works, generally what you're going to do is that you're going to first of all call this thing called $W and then on ready. What this $W essentially means is that it allows us to access the document of our page. So in a normal JavaScript, you might be used to using the document object model by calling document dot something. On this Wix site, we're simply replacing that with this $W over here. And on ready just basically means that call this code after this only after the page has been loaded. So we will call this, and inside of here, we're going to define a function like this. And then we're just going to console log hello world. And now once we sync the site at the bottom here and we go to our website, we can see right here that the JavaScript file on our website has been updated. So it is working. And now if we run this website by clicking on right here, after it loads for like 2 seconds, as we can see right here, running the code for the homepage, and we see hello world over here. So this is how we're going to start adding some cool custom features to our website. And there's like a couple of examples I'm going to show you in this video. They're not going to be perfect. It's going to be your task to then go and expand these, go and like finalize them to actually make them look good. I'm just going to show you the tools that we have access to here. So now we want to think about, okay, what would be like cool, unique features that we might want to add to our website that showcase that we have some coding skills. Well, one example is that let's say you have projects for both Python and JavaScript. You might want to have a button where when the user clicks the button, it changes the projects that show up on your site. So first of all, we're going to click on edit site, and we're just going to add a couple of buttons here. So we will click here on add section, and then over here, we're just going to add element, and we will add a button over here. And what we will do with this one is we will first of all edit the ID of it down here. So down here, we can like edit the classes and IDs, which we can then access with our JavaScript. So we will call this Python dash button, and we will change the text of it to be Python, and we'll then add another button next to it, which we will call JavaScript, and we will change the ID to be JavaScript button. So now we'll just make that section. For the sake of example, we're just gonna copy paste this over here. We're just gonna assume that we just have like 2 projects, obviously with a real portfolio. You might want to have more than that. And what would be really cool is when someone clicks the Python button, these 2 projects in here would display your Python projects. And when they click the JavaScript button, they would display your JavaScript projects. So the way we might start doing that is by, first of all, going into our code. Before we even code anything, what we also have access to is this AI editor over here, the Wix AI assistant. So we will actually see if we can generate this code for our logic for us. So we'll click on generate code and we'll describe it to us. When someone clicks Python button on the site, I want the, and then we're gonna search for the IDs of these text. So we'll just first look at the title. So text 39. We'll see what the other one is. Text 22 to change to Python project titles on the home page. Okay, let's see if this works. So we are generating the response. All right, so it looks like it generated some code for us. So we can either copy or insert it directly, just like that. So we'll just review this. So $W on ready, and then there is a function, so we can actually like just take this out of this block over here, down here. So just a quick note, I was editing this video, I made a bit of a mistake here. It does still work, but you're really only supposed to have one of these $w.onReadies inside of your code. So when I inserted the code, I actually placed a second one, which you're not supposed to do. So really what you're supposed to do is only copy this part of the code and just put it inside of the same onReady block. So that's just a bit of a note. So in your code, make sure to fix that. On click, it should call this logic, which would grab, and this is by the way how we grab elements from our page, by calling $W, and then inside of it the ID or the class or essentially the selector that we're using, and then we can edit the features. So for example, text, we'll change the text of it to be this and this. So we will sync this, and I think it should work. The logic looks correct, so we will go and run the site. We will wait for the code to load, and we click just like that. Now the titles are changing. We'll go back to edit, and we will go back to our AI and ask it, and also when JavaScript button is clicked, change the titles to be titles of JavaScript projects, like that. And now we get this, so we will just copy that part over there, and it looks like we didn't yet change the IDs, so it's warning us about that. Let's call it JS button. Well, it was JavaScript button, so we'll just change that. JS button, sync, and run. We click Python and we click JavaScript, and would you look at that? And now, all right, so that is changing the titles. What you would then also do, and I will leave this to you, is not just change the titles, but also save and change the descriptions on here, and also change the images on here. And the description should be easy with what I just showed you, but I'll just show you how you can change these images as well. So first of all, what you would do is on here, again, you go to edit site, and you will go on the left hand side to media. And over here on site files, I've already just added my image over there. You will go and click on upload media. And over here, you want to upload essentially the pictures of your projects. I'm just uploading a couple of images over there. And now we will ask the AI, when the buttons are clicked, also change images in, and we will grab the IDs, image X11 and image X8 URLs, which I will give you. So it will just generate us the code, and while it's doing that, you want to go ahead back to the media manager and just grab the URLs of these images essentially. So for example, this one, you get the URL by going to copy URL, and it should now give us code that is then going to allow me to input that. So we'll just insert, see if it's correct. So when this is clicked, first of all, it changes the text, and it goes and grabs this image X and change the src to be this URL, which I'm gonna instead change over here. And just for example purposes, to make this quicker, I'll just use the same one for both of those, and I will just copy this one over here to both of these. In reality, you would have different ones for different projects, obviously, but that should do it. And it looks like there's some mistake over there. All right, there's some problem with the insertion, so I'm just gonna take this, go back there, paste that. Gonna make sure that it works. I'm gonna sync, and I'm gonna back and run, and when I do that, it does work. So I just put the same image here for example purposes, but you would have different ones, so these would be changing. And to just make sure that the image actually fits within this box, here on settings, and click on fit to bounding box, and we'll do that as well over there, and fit to bounding box. And now once we test it, it fits in the box. Now in a moment, I will show you how you can actually expand all of this by having a backend that is running for you. But before that, another cool feature that you might want to add that really shows that you know how the thing is a programmer is to add a dark theme to your website. So what you might have is a button, which we will again add here. I'll just add it, I don't know, somewhere in here. It doesn't really matter. We'll change this to change theme. What you might want to have is whenever this button is clicked, the background colors and everything are going to be changed to black, whereas the text colors are going to be changed to white or some bright color or something like that. So again, we will go to, and first of all, we will grab the ID of this button 1. We'll ask the AI when button 1 is clicked, make it so the theme of the page is changed to dark theme or light theme. Change background colors and text colors. Let's see if it can give us a good starting point here. All right, so here's what we get. We'll just copy this entire thing, put it sort of down here, and editor Thomas here again. Over here, I made the same mistake as before. So don't add a second on ready. Just have this part of the code and add it to the same on ready above in your code. So there is first of all a flag to indicate whether we already have a dark theme applied. And then when button 1 is clicked, this will apply. So if there is dark theme, then it will grab essentially the entire page and change the background color to be white and all the texts and essentially loop through them and make them black and vice versa. Although I did test this before, and actually this is something we cannot do. We cannot change the styling of the entire page. So what we will have to do is go and grab all of these individual parts. For example, this, I think it's section 5. We'll just test that out. So we will call this section 5 and section 5, and just for testing purposes we'll only test that, and if it works we'll apply it to all of them. So we will run this, change theme, and okay, so the text colors change but the background color actually doesn't change, so that is a bit of a problem. Alright, so I finally found at least one of the sections that were supposed to change, and actually it turns out that there is a way for you to look at the actual different components in an easier way by clicking right here on layers. So I found that section 1 at the top of the page was the section that I was supposed to change the color of. So I did that. Again, what you would do is just find all of the sections and change the colors accordingly in this logic over here. And again, I will leave that to you. What are some other cool things we could do? Well, we're of course not limited to just like plain JavaScript. We can also go ahead and, for example, import libraries. So let's say you want to have like a cool way of representing your skills with like a graph or something like that. There is this tool called chart.js that I've used a bunch of times before in my projects. So we can actually import this directly onto our website, and we can either do it in JavaScript, or I'll actually just do this directly in HTML. So I will copy this starter code over here that first of all here imports this and then creates a cool looking chart like this down below. So the easiest way to do this is I just go down here. Let's just add a section, for example, right here. And instead of adding an element, I will just search for HTML embed code over here. And I will click on embed code right there, and then edit code or enter code. And then I will paste that code over there and then update to see what happens. And this doesn't work because I forgot to copy this part right here. We'll copy that there, click update, and voila, we now have a cool chart that is imported from chart.js. So what I will do is go ahead and tell ChatGPT to make me a chart that I'm looking for. I'm gonna ask it using chart.js, make me a chart to display programming language skills. And I will just copy paste this example for it, see what it gives us, like that. Copy, edit code, paste, update, and voila, now you have this cool chart representing your programming language skills. Now we just need to make it a bit bigger, I think, like that, and there you go. Now there's a bunch of things you could do with all of this. I'll let you play around with this, but one more feature that I want to show you is how you can add a backend. Now this Wix website in Wix Studio actually comes with its own Node.js backend instance that is running on the background. The way you can access that is by going back to your code and clicking on backend. Now this backend folder is where you can start adding essentially files that are going to run on the backend. So let's say, for example, you want to add some more complicated logic relating to these projects and titles and everything like that, and you want to actually store it in the backend. We'll just use that as an example here. What you would do is create a file over here, which we'll just call backend, and you need to extend these files with .web web.js. This is what you need in order for this to work. Once it is created, what you're going to import at the top here is, first of all, permissions and web method from Wix-web-module. Let's put that into quotes, and not permissions, permissions and web method. And let's just say, for example, you want to save these project titles and descriptions and URLs and everything on the backend instead. So what I will do over here is define, let's say, an object that includes all these details. So projects object, and you can even add like a proper database and everything like that over here if you want. And this, instead of just making it myself, why don't I just get AI to do it for me? In backend.js, make an object to include two on and two JavaScript projects with titles and descriptions. We will do that. And then make a web method that returns it. We will copy paste that over there. There we go. And these functions, which I call these web methods, is what we can then call directly from our front end. And looks like the AI didn't quite do this correctly, because the way you need to do this is by going export const, let's just say get projects over here, which is going to be equal to web method that takes in permissions, anyone, that essentially allows anyone that is on your website to access and call this method. And then is the second parameter, we are going to return this anonymous function that simply returns this project's object up here. And like that is how it works. And that has to be a capital M. Is a problem because there needs to be this over here, and voila. So now to call this, we will just copy the name and we will go over here, and just to test this out, I will, when it is ready, call this get projects, and we'll go say then. And actually I think AI already sort of gave this to us, so we'll just see if this is correct. So try const project away get projects, and we will need to import this function from the backend like that. Import get projects from backend/backend.web.js. W. By the way, when you're importing these from the backend files, you'll just need to add this W at the end right here, which actually should be just .web instead. And when it's ready, we will call it and then console log the result. So let's see if this works. So we'll sync, we will run, and looks like we indeed get the result over here. So we now obtain this object directly from our backend. So what I will leave to you as the challenge is, now instead of defining these titles and everything here on the front end, define them all on the backend, like including these URLs and everything. And on these on-click code over here, simply call this function and use that object to dynamically update your site. So this is just some of the features that you can do right here on Wix Studio. I'm not going to show you everything. This would take 5 hours. Go to the documentation, see what you can do, but I think this gives you a pretty good idea. So definitely check this out. It's definitely, out of any of the website developers out there, is by far my favorite, because it is really not a website developer. It is like a full web creation platform that gives you all the tools as a developer that you would want, while basically giving you also the benefits of these drag and drop editors. So let me know what you think. If you want to see another video where I use the Wix Studio headless features to build a custom, like a fully custom coded website with payment processing and user authentication very, very easily, then I highly recommend you watch this video right here. Highly useful skills to know as a developer. Definitely watch it next, and I'll see you in the next one.